I've lived in my house for 3 or 4 years now. Time flies, and I know that two spirits in my house are not harmful. For a while, I thought they were just spirits that are no more than memories, if that makes sense. Story 1. One day, my wife was breastfeeding our kid, and I was in the front room. I sensed something and turned to face the hallway going to the baby's room. Out of the corner of my eye, when I was turning, I saw a figure moved from the kitchen to the hallway, down to the baby's room where my wife was. So I put down my stuff and my wife was sitting in the nursing chair. She said right before I looked in the room, the chair swiveled her just a little bit. Now I know that the spirits in my house are interactive. The interesting thing is I'm 80% sure who the spirits are. The owner, back in the 90s, passed away in the house, and I'm pretty sure his wife is here also. The house was built in the 50s. Anyways, there's my intro. I have been sensitive to spirits my whole life, and I find it fun. Story 2. I went out fishing with my brothers, so the wife was hanging out at home with our son. She was microwaving some dinner, and she went out of the room to check on our kid. Then, when the food was finished, she went and opened the microwave, and when she did, the fuse for the kitchen blew. We normally have the oven going and the microwave at the same time, and never have that issue. That was the first weird thing. Next, she called her mom to chit-chat. They were talking and she thought she heard her dad pop in and said something, but she couldn't understand it. So she said, "Oh, hey Dad." At that moment, her mom paused and said, "Oh, who are you talking to? Dad isn't even home." A little while later, she was in my son's room nursing him, and everything was dark and calm. She heard what sounded like a rock hit the window. Then roughly a minute later, she saw a dark wisp. No formed shape of air go from the edge of the crib to the external wall, where the window is. Out of caution, she armed the alarm system. Then I finished fishing and called her to tell her I was 20 minutes out. When I was outside the house pulling the trash to the curb, she saw the same wisp of air pass in front of her, but in our family room. I'm kind of jealous because the most I've seen are shapes move in the hallway going towards my kid's room. She was kind of freaked out, but she didn't sense any danger the whole time. Story 3. So, crazy stuff has started to happen at our house. We recently moved our renter out of the basement. We have been deep cleaning and getting it ready for the next renter. We haven't been tearing out anything yet, but we have been talking about it. So that's the background. Since our renter moved out, our activity level on the basement has dramatically increased, but mostly in the basement. My wife has been seeing a shadowy figure in the basement, and she would catch the motion out of the corner of her eye or sense that there was something behind her. I have started hearing voices when I was in the basement. They sounded like male voices, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. Normally with me, it's when there is background noise going on and it will sound like it's coming through the vents, but upstairs. This is the craziest experience we had yet. I set the house alarm last night before going to bed. 24 a.m., I woke up with a start to the alarm system going off, alerting us that someone was opening doors. While exiting my room with the weapon in hand, I took a look at the alarm panel, and it said garage door. The garage door is not the actual garage door. It's the separation between the main level where we live and the basement. Then there is the garage door in the same section. So I went and checked the door, and it was closed, and the actual garage door was locked. We have never had any problems with our alarm system ever, and since the activity in our house has picked up, we suspect that a spirit has been getting angry and messing with things. Story 4. I was getting ready for work. I went into my son's room. We have to turn off and on a water valve to use the shower because I hate leaks. And leaning over the sides of my son's crib was the lady whose husband died in the house. Her name is Rula. Her husband is Run. Then she did her normal thing and disappeared. But we were glad that she's at least here, because we feel she's watching over our son. Run hasn't shown up yet since the cleansing, but I'll give it time. He showed up more than Rula in the past. Story 5. This story is about January 28, 2021. So, the other day my wife put our son in our bed and she went down to our basement to do some cleaning or whatever it was. During that time frame, it was just her in the house and my son. The house was locked up and we weren't expecting anyone. She was cleaning. Then she heard footsteps in the room above her. A room where her son is asleep. Since he had only been sleeping for 10 minutes, she went to check and possibly put him to bed. 2-year-olds, they can be frustrating. She got upstairs and he was dead asleep. So she went back downstairs and continued cleaning. She then heard the footsteps again, and it sounded like it was walking around our bed in a pacing fashion. So my wife checked again, and my son was still asleep. At this point, she figured it was a spirit. She continued cleaning the basement and didn't get any negative feelings from it. She eventually checked again, but it was the same result. My son sleeps for almost exactly 1 hour, and that entire time he was asleep, the pacing was happening. My wife is unable to see spirits, but she can hear them and get a general sense of they're good or bad.